everyone, welcome back to yet another video tutorial of High Point, and this video is included in the whole lecture series that we are having now, which is titled as Cultural Studies. If you have skipped any of the previous videos, the entire session, the entire Cultural Studies related lecture videos are available in the I button in the form of a playlist. You can have them, and if you are looking for some online affordable but systematically arranged study materials in the form of audio lectures, 900 plus audio lectures actually, and simplified audio lectures and simplified downloadable PDF materials, and also more than 3000 questions for you to attempt live in the website in the form of previous and practice question papers. Then if you want all these materials with 15% of off in the fee structure going on in our website, you can visit our website www.highpoint.in, in which we are provided with all these things that just now I mentioned, along with 2 free bonuses. So if you want to know more about these bonuses, courses and topics that we are providing, or any other services that we are providing, you can directly message me or call me in this given number. Now moving on, what we are going to learn in this video is subcultures, popular cultures and postmodernism. About postmodernism and its features and its tendencies, we have elaborately seen when we are discussing about Lyotard's concept of postmodern condition. So I am not going to elaborately again and again, I am not going to deal with the postmodernism, but we will again discuss. So subcultures and popular cultures in postmodern conditions. So that's what we are actually going to look at. See, what is this concept of subculture or popular culture? See, we can see that the arrival of such things like rock music, MTV, or films, then films, popular films and literature actually made it possible to create the whole thing known as whole cultural product known as postmodern popular culture. Okay, so basically the popular elements in a culture which are actually enjoyed and used by the mass of the people, that is known as popular culture. And Dick Hebdige terms there are few forms of culture produced by marginalized group which are known as subculture. So popular culture is not always subculture, okay, but they have very little demarcation between themselves. Okay, so initially when we see culture, the definition given to culture before cultural studies, it was something that is elevated. It is something that is deal with the elite people or elite strata of the society, and all other people's culture, all other strata of society, they were termed as cultureless. That is actually technically wrong to say, but still it was cultureless, and it is tasteless, and it is inferior or subhuman. So but here in the modern times, since modernism is all about modernism is all about celebrating the local, the individual, the fragmented, the mass and the things like that. It is not recognizing anything as elite or anything as low, right? That's why we are seeing and we are enjoying pop music, and we are enjoying more popular films, and we are enjoying popular literature. But usually in the initial times, or in the some decades back, it were all these things like popular things, they were considered as cultureless. But now with the emergence of postmodernism, certain cultures actually produced by the marginalized group of the society, they are known as subcultures, and they gained popularity. These subcultures evade the hegemony imposed by the high cultural forms and altered power structures and social formations, leaving the society and art forms in a state of permanent evolution and change, where no form or style occupies any privileged position. So no form or style occupied any privileged position. That is exactly the postmodern condition. Okay, so these subcultures, cultural products produced by marginalized groups, see popular music, pop music, or jazz music, or popular literature, or popular film, or popular TV channels, and rock music, all these things are mainly produced by marginalized group. So actually these people are so rich, but still they are not classical things. Okay, and many musical forms we can see. In Malayalam we have Nadan Patte. So the music of the aborigines or the tribal people, it actually getting momentum nowadays, right? So that is also a part of subculture, because tribal people, they are always a marginalized group in a society. So these subcultural elements actually evade or actually negate, they do not recognize the hegemony imposed by the high cultural forms. They actually forms as a resistive form, and they alter or they change power structures and social formation. So unlike any other previous ages of of our human civilization, see, the cultural artifacts and cultural things related to the very marginalized group, the very suppressed and subjugated group began to get celebrated and began to get momentum. So that itself is a form of resistance, and how it is changing all these things, altering the power structure and social formation, leaving the society and art forms in a state of permanent evolution. So it is not recognizing anything as high or anything as privileged or anything as low or mass, but it is actually society and art forms, they are in a position which is not static as an elevated position or as a low position, but they leave the art or the society in a state, the state of permanent evolution, permanent change. So this change never recognizes when there something is in change, when there is in when something is there in a permanent revolution, permanent evolution, then that form cannot be recognized as a privileged thing, right? So here no forms or no styles, no literature, no cultural artifacts occupy any privileged position. Okay, so that's what all about subculture. That's mainly we can say about subculture, and what is the major thing done by subculture and how subculture emerged in the postmodern era. A good example of postmodern art form that exhibits several of the concepts and themes discussed above is cyberlink. Actually, all these subcultural things and everything that is related to subculture in the 21st century or 20th century, towards the end of the 20th century, it got momentum through cyber world, the virtual world. So in that world we won't find any privilege particularly given to any classical things or any elevated social hierarchical things or something. So the emergence of cyberspace and cyberpunk is something that is a good example of postmodern art forms. The growth of subculture and popular culture defy classification and reflect a growing concern with the constructed nature of truth, culture and knowledge. So subculture and popular culture, they defy and deny any sort of classification. If you are doing classification, then actually you are putting something as privileged and something else as underprivileged or mass or popular or less classical, right? So that is not done by subculture. So the growth of subculture and popular culture actually came into exist by defying and denying classification of cultures and classification of cultural artifact. So there is a growing concern is there. What kind of concern we can see? There is a concern for the constructed nature of the truth, that we usually assume that there is an ultimate truth or ultimate God, there is an ultimate knowledge, a universal kind of knowledge is there, or ultimate or constructed nature of culture. Actually truth is also constructed. We cannot arrive at a ultimate culture or ultimate knowledge or ultimate truth. That is impossible. There is no pure culture. So it is always under development, and it is always evolving, and it is always under the process of change, and knowledge is the same as well as truth. So nothing is universal, nothing is stable, it is all evolving, and it is all has multiple, there is heterogeneous truth is available, heterogeneous knowledge is available. So subculture has a growing concern with the constructed nature of truth, culture and knowledge. Now, so that was mainly you have to understand about subculture and popular culture in postmodern times. Okay, so if we have time after finishing the major themes and the concepts related to cultural studies, we will be doing again some detailed, including more and more examples. We can have another lecture about subculture and popular culture. Maybe in between two we will have that. Okay, so if you want a more elaborate video session about subculture and popular culture, then you can mention that in the comment section. And let's have the conclusion here. Postmodernism in cultural studies celebrates the fragmented, the plural, the contingent and the local while rejecting universal and totalities. So it actually, postmodernism never recognizes anything as universal, whether it is a philosophical doctrine, whether it is a political doctrine, whether it is a religious doctrine. It never actually recognizes anything as universal or as total, or in the sense that, it always celebrates the fragmented, it always celebrated the, or always celebrates the the individual, the local, the vernacular, or the individual, or we can see that it never recognizes anything as elite or anything as low, anything as popular or anything as less popular, or anything as classical or less classical. Such divisions are completely denied by postmodernism. Okay, it sees representation as an end in itself, calls into question the notion of a truth behind signs, words, images, and collapses the distinction between original and copy. So if you remember Baudelaire's theory of hyperreality, you can understand that in postmodern times there is a collapse happened between the original and the copy. So postmodernism questions the notion of truth that we are assuming behind signs, that we are assuming behind words and images. So because since there is no distinction between original and copy, then how come you can refer to something as truth? How come you can refer to something as universal? Because there is no distinction between, there is no difference between original and copy. So in order to know more about this hyperreal condition of postmodernism, you can refer to the just before video, or not just before, you can refer to the video in which we held in detail about Baudelaire's theory of hyperrealism of postmodern times. So I think that's all about this video. And I hope this idea about subculture and popular culture is clear to you. If you want to know more about this, you can ask me in the comment section. That's all about this video. Meet you in the next video session in this whole lecture series of cultural studies. Until then, stay tuned to High Point, or you can watch the two videos appearing on the screen, and be happy and move towards your goals of achieving UGC NET JRF English Language and Literature day by day. Okay, ta-ta.